Patrick Reusse, does that Wolves game last night deserve the Augie sounder?
Oh, yes. Yeah. About 20 times. Judd, how many plays in the first 15, 18 minutes did they have their hand on the ball first and it ended up with the Warriors? Had to be 15 times. It was, I mean, all those offensive rebounds were double rebounds because they weren't off the rim. They were off some Timberwolves' hands who couldn't hold on to the ball. Rudy's got a tremendous height advantage, and he had bad hands last night, and they all had bad hands last night. And then, Kerr's probably right. Kerr after the game said that, they missed 15 threes in the first half, over 15, but he said the first 7 or 8 were tough, that they were defended. And he thought that they kind of put him in that mood. And he said, after you miss 8, then the pressure's on to finally make one, right? So
Yeah.
I think that was pretty accurate because they did guard about at the perimeter. That second half, man, he was bringing in guys I never heard of, and it didn't make any difference, really. I mean,
Yeah, I
Pat
know.
Pat Spencer's going to be replacing Steph Curry, and Pat Spencer was better than any guard that the Wolves had on the court last night. Nobody was good. I mean, Anthony was. I'm proud of Finchy for calling out Ant, aren't you? I mean,
Oh, God, yeah.
I wasn't in there because I was trying to
Yep.
listen to Curry, but I saw the quotes. They were unbelievable. He just basically said he thought the game was going to go like this, and when it didn't go like that, he kept playing like the game was going like he thought it would. But it was just. I don't want to say it came from anywhere, from nowhere, because they played lousy against the Lakers in Game 5. Lakers were a little worse, and they played good defense that game. But man alive, that was embarrassing.
I thought the Finch, so on Finch's quotes about Ant, when do you think he decided to say that? Fourth quarter? Like that was very intentional. I loved it. But
Yeah,
he was pissed off, don't get me wrong.
yeah,
But I also think it was very calculated as far as what the message was going to be.
oh yeah,
And like his whole thing was it was very well thought out. It wasn't random. It was
no,
accurate, but I also think it was incredibly strategic.
yeah. I think he's a sharp guy. I think he's got a big brain, and he remembers stuff. And I'm sure that I don't know. He, in the second half was still for a while. What they got it down to 10 once or something, 9. That he was still hopeful. But I
9.
think I think those thoughts came from the first half, don't you? And he knew
Yeah.
about it, yeah, and he knew he was going to express them that we can't just run out there and act like, I mean, we lost to the Washington Wizards, fellas. Let's remember that we still have to play, somewhat smart basketball, but. You know, Nikhil Alexander Walker was no good. I mean,
Oh.
these guys that have been, lifting them up all year. But you know what else, Judd? Who could they blow by? They did. Golden State played great. No matter who it was, played
Mhm.
great defense. The one guy they got the post, the taller guy, Post Quint. Quint Post was a plus 14 and didn't take a shot. All he did was play defense, and
Yeah.
they went 12 deep. They ended up in the second half. He played everybody, and they went 12 deep, and they never really wavered defensively against the Timberwolves. And it was, they're going to have to, they're going to have to figure out a way. Obviously, they need to make some threes to loosen it up, but they're going to have to figure out a way to let Julius get to the basket and things like that because they couldn't. God, it was terrible. I would like them big though on Thursday, wouldn't you? I think that they'll
That's
come
their
out.
advantage.
Good. Yeah, that they
Yeah.
come out and play big Thursday. And before the game, Kerr said that they were asking Kerr about the game 5 against Houston, where they just took everybody out with like 10. He says, "Well, if I'm down 40 to a night, I'm going to take all the regulars out too." So you know, It's how about the NBA though? The road teams 5-0. This is not the NBA that we all know and
No.
love. The favorites always win. Now Cleveland's got an excuse, I guess, although they kicked that game away.
Yep.
But they got 3 guys hurt. But it's I honest to God, I was watching the Oklahoma City game and turned it, I switched and watched a bad movie or something, and they were 15 up and they were just doing
Yeah.
anything they wanted to. And I'd get up in the morning and look and said, what? They,
Did you go back and watch it too? I watched
how they did it?
the
No.
last bit on YouTube and how they came back. It was the damnedest thing.
Wow.
I don't recognize this league as far as the
No,
playoffs go anymore. It's
no,
great.
no. Because you knew
But it's
who
more
was
like my
gonna win.
sport.
Yeah, you knew who was going to. It's like hockey now.
Yeah, it's like this
You know?
random stuff. It's like you never used to see this, it felt like.
Well, and I think we were talking, or maybe the Knicks in Boston. The Knicks were 0-6 against them this year or something. They had no chance. The Knicks got no. I think they ended up playing an extra game because they played in that goofy tournament or something. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it was 0-6, and then they sneaked. They were 20 down, right? And they came back and beat Boston.
Yeah,
So
they were way down early.
yeah, weird. Well, it's fun, but you know what? You do appreciate. Now there was a moment in the fourth quarter. What, about 7 minutes to go when it got to be 9 or something last
Yeah.
night, something. And you thought, and I thought, my thought was, if they come back to win this game, it shows that the NBA's never over, because
Mhm.
those that's a long stretch. Those 12 minutes in the fourth quarter that can take for a week. That can take a week, and strange things can happen. But in this case, the Timberwolves were bad all night. So, and you can start with Ant, but who played good? Who played well?
They're
Anybody?
terrible. Yeah,
Nobody.
no,
Nobody played well, and
no, it was
nobody
awful.
played with any. Anyway, I said this. They I was back in the press room by the time the game ended, and they would come down the hall, and the hall's empty, and you could overhear them, but the door's open so you can hear them. And I heard there was some mumbling and discussion, and Ant says, "That's on me, dog." And then that one's on me, dog. And
Yeah.
nobody argued with him.
No, and I mean he's their best. He's their
Yes.
best player. He's the guy who is supposed to set the tempo, and that's what I liked about what Finch said. Finch
Yeah.
basically said if he doesn't bring it, like the rest of our guys aren't going to. And that game, though, I will say this: that was not a fun game to watch.
No, it was terrible. Because Golden State didn't play that good. I mean,
No.
it's not like they were making all their shots or doing anything. They were not that good, except they were tough defense.
Yes.
They stayed tough. They battled for every loose ball. They fought hard, but they didn't play well. The they had 11 points in the second quarter. 11. How do you do that in the modern NBA? It's unbelievable. 44-30. You kept looking at the score, and the last couple 3 minutes, you didn't know if they're going to get out of the 20s. It was incredible. They had 24 points with like 5 minutes
Yeah.
to go in a half. It was
31
just,
points in the first half.
yeah, it was just
That's a Gopher score.
yeah, it was really. In fact, if Ben Johnson was watching, he had to say, "This looks familiar." Where's Femi, man? Femi could have been playing in that thing. Unbelievable.
So what's your thoughts on Steph Curry? Because I think with a hamstring at his age,
Oh yeah.
I think he'll be
Well,
lucky to come back for like game 6, which has
yeah,
that 3-day break before it if you get to 6.
yeah. I think you're right. Curry was, he's not a BSer, and he said, well, he's not playing. He said we're going to prepare as though he's not playing Tuesday. They don't know how bad it is, but I didn't really see it when he limped off. Did you?
No, I
'Cause
missed it.
I didn't see what the reaction was.
I missed it entirely. So he was guarding Conley, and
Mhm.
he grabbed at the hamstring, but kept playing. They went down the floor. He took a shot, and he sort of skipped like as he
Yeah.
took the shot, and then he
Wow.
immediately turned around to Kerr and said, "I'm
Sure.
done." But I
Wow.
missed the whole, I missed the whole damn thing, and I was right there. So
Yeah. I mean, man alive, it was talk about a guy who was useless last night. Mike Conley was
Yeah.
useless because any one of these bad guards that they can bring in that we've never heard of doesn't have any problem with Mike Conley.
Nope.
I don't know how you can, because when you're not making threes, uh, you know, you can't have him on the court because any three he throws up is just kind of a prayer anyway. So yeah, he was awful. They were all awful, but he was particularly ineffective. He just had nothing to do to help you out win that game. They the other new thing about the NBA here is, I mean, it's not exactly back to the bad boys era when they could just mug each other,
Right.
but there's a lot better defenses than there were. They're actually guarding people.
How about the fact that there were, as I recall, 0 free throws from either team in the first quarter, and I thought it was physical.
Yes. Oh,
So
yeah, that is. Well,
to your
Jimmy
point,
Butler had no fouls. He never had a foul.
did he not have
And
one the whole
Jimmy,
game?
Jimmy fights you. Jimmy played
Right.
41 minutes, and when he's financially content, which he is now, he
Yes.
fights you for every ball. And he had no fouls. Really? Not that the referees had anything to do with this. That Bill Kennedy, though, the little guy. He's terrible, but that had nothing to do with the game. I mean, it had nothing to do with the outcome. So.
No, 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 no. Well, and I didn't know this. I didn't realize that the delay. So that game started with a really
Yeah,
quick
well,
delay.
what,
It was
59 seconds
it,
into the
it was
game.
it was Finch pointing out that Buddy Hield had the wrong shorts on.
Oh, really? I did
He
not know that.
It was an equipment violation, which is why they stopped. And Hield called the timeout, which he shouldn't have done. They stopped the game, and he had to run back to the locker room and put on the
Oh,
correct pair of shorts.
but it's not it's just a warning. It's not
I
a technical
guess
or anything.
it should. I would think it should be a technical, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's
or
a delay of
something.
game, I guess.
Yeah,
But
I didn't
anyway,
know that we had nothing because I was sitting next to Dave Campbell from AP, and I said, "Look, we're 13 minutes ahead of the starting time that we had the last time we had an 8:30 start. It started at 8:54. This one started at 8:41 or 2 something.
yep.
Well, by the time they ended up screwing around the first 5 minutes, we were back behind schedule. They had like delays, and they had the shorts delays, and then they had other stuff, and it was this, you know. Okay, go over there with a minute and a half to go to see who got the ball or not. Stop all this other crap. I don't know, the whole review thing drives me nuts, and they just, what was the time of game? It had to be a good full 2 hours and 35 minutes or something.
2:31.
Yeah, God, it went on
It
forever.
went on forever. Yeah.
And bad. I came in for like most of the fourth quarter. I came in. Did the crowd start leaving finally?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
we're
Oh yeah.
tailing out early. Yeah,
They
okay.
cleared out. They cleared out.
Well, but hey, the Twins won, so what the hell? It was a good night in Minnesota, right?
We're back. Three
Oh yeah,
consecutive wins. We're back. And
yes,
Baltimore. And
that's
Baltimore.
right.
I don't know what happened to Baltimore, but that's a good
I
opponent
mean,
right now.
like they did. They decided with the general manager they got now to become rotten, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
they were
Houston.
rotten for 3 or 4 years. They used the Houston approach,
Mm-hmm.
and then they came back, and then they were good. And then last year they won 101 games, and they got the same guys. What the hell's going on?
I don't know.
They're terrible. The guy we knocked around last night was our ex-twin Cade Povich, who they got for was in. Who did we get from them?
Lopez. The
Pablo. He was
Lopez trade. He
in
was
the
supposed to come in
Pablo
and be our
trade.
closer. You remember?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, no, Jorge Lopez. That's
Yes.
the
Yes. Yeah.
guy
Yeah. Not Pablo.
who, by the way,
Jorge.
is still in the league and had great stuff. I loved that guy, and but he was mental. He was
Yeah, he
like
was.
goofy. He was mental, and
Yep.
I think he's pitching for the Mets or somebody now. But
Nationals, right?
maybe it's the Nationals, but
He was the Mets and Cubs last year because he called out the Mets for being a terrible team and they released him, I think.
oh yeah, that's yeah. I mean, he's goofier than hell. He had great stuff, but yeah, that's right. That was Jorge Lopez, and I didn't join in ripping him for getting rid of Cade Povich because I liked the guy. I thought he'd be the closer, and then he ended up being a goofball. So
Yep. Yep. Buxton, 2 for 4, home run
Buxton,
last night, 4 RBIs.
Buxton's having a good year.
He
He's having
is.
a good. I mean, he's hitting 270. He's gonna strike out
Yeah.
30% of the time. Okay, he's a high strikeout guy, but he's having a good year, and I've said it 5 times out here, Judd. I never thought I'd see this Buxton again. I
Mm-mm.
never thought I'd see him playing damn near every day in center field. The catch we all talk about that he made this year is one of his 5 greatest catches ever. Damn near killing himself diving for the ball and getting up and keeping playing. And I never thought I would see this same Buxton again. Apparently, Carlos got into one, huh?
He
450
did.
feet or something.
He
So,
did. Absolute shot. 3-run homer, I think, if I'm not
but
mistaken, early.
Reusse, we got Reusse back, and we were a little more excited last time we got Reusse back from one of his long injuries because he hit 130 the last 6 weeks of last year, and he was hitting 130 in St. Paul. So I'm not sure that he's a difference maker right now. I'm not sure about that. I think if you ask me in retrospect, I'd take Hunter Green over Royce if
Yeah.
I had that draft to do over again. So
Yeah. I just hope that Royce gets back to third base. I don't think he's ever been hurt in the field. And
yeah,
this whole thing of like they're doing the Buxton thing now. Hey, we're gonna DH him and play him some. Just let
yeah,
him play
yeah.
third.
Play him
Jonah
at
Bride
third.
played third last night.
Play
Okay.
him at third, and Buxton and Brooks Lee
Yeah.
as long as he's hitting at second. That's your team.
Yeah.
That's your lineup. And how about Eddie though? What is this? Is Eddie Julien? Is this the death knell for
I was
him in
gonna
this
ask you that.
organization? I don't know.
I was gonna ask you
Uh,
that.
I mean, the only reason they had him because they thought he could really hit, and
Yep.
he's got the swing and everything, but he's that was like that was that the manager, I believe, had a lot of influence with that roster move because I think Eddie drives him crazy. And when Eddie slid 8 feet
Oh,
past second base the other day to help lose a game, I think that was it. I think his head is not his he doesn't have a baseball brain on him. I think and he wasn't taking as many pitches this year, but he's still hitting 180 or
yeah,
something.
he's hitting in the 180s. And in the same game on Friday in Boston, the play at second that he didn't
Oh
make.
yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's a
Well,
killer. And he's a tutorial on how difficult second base truly is. Like we see
yes.
guys make plays and we're like, oh, second base is pretty simple.
Yes.
Watch him play. You realize it's not as like that is how difficult it really is for the common
Now,
person to try to play
yes.
second.
Now the shift the dramatic shift is gone, but the shortstop still plays right behind second
Yeah.
base, and on against left-handed hitters and everything. So it's not as important as it used to be, the turn in the double play.
No.
But when you saw him turn that double play, that's the one that drove Rocco crazy when he stepped into the runner and made a bad throw when he had like 10 seconds to just run past the bag,
Yep.
get out in position and throw it to sec. He he made that play like he was in a hurry when there was no hurry. You have to have some read on who the runner. You think he has a thought on who the runner is, who's going to be, what am I going to do when it's hit to me? I don't think he's thinking. I think he's thinking about his last at bat every time he's in the field. I don't know.
He would have gotten himself killed in the old days, though, where guys
Oh
could
God,
actually slide into
yeah.
second.
Oh God, yes, yeah. I mean that was Rodney's. Rodney wasn't wasn't much at making the double play, but that was when it was dangerous, and he did end up getting early in his career getting a blowing out a knee. I think in '68, maybe his second year that he got knocked down and missed half the season because he got his knee knocked out. But yeah, it's not what it used to be. But I don't know. Eddie looks like he'll be with another franchise here eventually. Here, not too far from now, right?
Yeah, he strikes me as a guy who's going to go to like a Pittsburgh and play.
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
Just
I
sort of
don't.
bounce around.
But hey, you know what? I keep saying it. They got a good pitching staff.
Yeah.
You look at it. This Joe Dale. I mean, Joe Ryan's great. Bailey Over's great. Pablo's, you know, Pablo's okay. Pablo's great. Not maybe as great as we hope, but he's good.
It's good.
And for how many strikeouts last night? 14 or no, 12 or some
I think it
damn
was,
big number.
I
I
think
don't know.
12. I've got it right here.
Yeah. In 5
11.
innings, 11 in 5
5
innings.
innings.
Only four non strikeout outs,
Yeah.
and the bullpen's good. That hasn't been perfect, but the bullpen's good. The pitching's fine, but the lineup sucks. I still don't. I still don't. There's not. Get your lineup in there. Stop playing these guys who hit 200, 105 for Miami, and start playing your lineup here. So
Yeah,
anyway,
that's what I'm
and,
saying.
and Castro, you can play Castro in the outfield uh, as long as with Wallner missing. So until Wallner comes back or
Yeah.
something. But anyway, they're you know they announced 19,000. You said it didn't look that big, huh?
I saw a couple pictures and it did not look anywhere
Look a
close
little
to
thin,
19.
man. Now I
Gorgeous
heard
night
a
too.
rumor today that there's a local group that's being put together that might end up with the team. And
Really?
it's yeah, I don't know who the big money is. It's not Marty Davis or those guys. It's a different. It's somebody with a lot of money, and I don't know who it would be.
Not
Maybe
Glenn?
no, Glenn's not. Glenn's since he had that back surgery, man, or hip
Oh,
surgery.
yeah, yeah.
Glenn is not moving too good, and no, it's not Glenn. I don't know who it would be, but it's Glenn's what 90 what. And isn't he
Late 80s, I think. Yeah.
late 80s, something
Yeah.
like that? So wouldn't be him, but I don't know. Maybe he throws a little into the pot, and the Pohlads keep 20% or something like that. But I don't know. I have not, but I did hear that the idea that you had to keep Joe Pohlad that was reported was complete horse crap.
Okay.
Not one word of truth to it. So
Okay.
anyway, which I assumed. I just thought
So
it was
do the Polet, does Joe want to stay involved in the ownership group, do you think, or no?
well, I
Because
don't
I think the
know.
other kids want out.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah. Everybody wants out, and Joe was the idea. Joe's going to want to run. To part
right.
of the sale was that he's going to stay for 3 years. He might stay for a 6-month transition or something, but he's not going to have a. He's not. Nobody's going to come in and spend $1.5 billion and say, "Yeah, I want to have Joe."
No, they might
Because it
fire
is.
everybody, Pat.
Yes, yes. So we can have another ceremony at the Rotunda where we say it's a whole new era of baseball, and then we show people a Miami Marlins hat. You know.
It's got to be like when Carl bought the team from Calvin and they signed the contract at second base at the Metrodome before
Yes,
a game, right?
yes. And Calvin got Calvin and Thelma walked her, got taken around in the golf cart to wave goodbye to us, and but that one didn't get finalized till like September 7th or something though. But the ceremony was what, June or July,
June. I
right?
think it was
Yeah,
June of
June,
'84, right?
late June, yeah. Yeah. So that was. I think Carl's was Calvin got 31 or 38, and then there was another owner from Washington, Gabe Murphy, who got 10 or so.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Gabe Murphy owned a big hunk of the team. He and Calvin were always feuding. He didn't want Calvin to move the team out of Washington, going back to that. So
Interesting. Do you know how far sports has come as far as marketing goes, Pat? One is like now, if the sale is complete and there is to be a ceremony, you're right. It would be an independent like thing. But the other one that just amazes me is so Killebrew comes back here in 74 with
Yes.
KC, right?
Yeah.
And like before his first game back here, it's like an afternoon game, they retire his jersey.
Yes.
We
Yes.
have a weekend now.
Yes. But we also had, I was involved in that. The fans were so mad at Harmon came back. We had 13,000 people. 13,000 people for Harmon at Met Stadium. It was embarrassing. It
But
was well. The only people who made a big deal out of it was Bob Fowler was chapter chairman, and we went out and sold posters. He had us out selling posters or some damn thing. Calvin was, I think Calvin was willing to retire his jersey, but he wasn't going to do anything financially to Calvin was not in a good mood then because that was the first rumor that they might move to Seattle, right?
yeah,
In fact,
yeah.
I wrote a lead that was my first year at a beat in St. Paul, and Oakland came in here and beat them in a doubleheader that pretty much, it was May, and it buried them, and there were 3,000 people there, and I said, it was a 2-act play called Death of a Franchise. And, this lead, which would have been okay, but they put that in the big lead. Twin star in Death of Franchise. And the Griffiths, Calvin got so mad at that's when they said that the drinking room was going to close an hour after the game because they didn't want to give free booze to these horrible reporters.
Yeah.
Except the next team in was California, and they had these three guys, Don Mary, Hoggy Miller. What was the other guy's name? But they were like the three musketeers and they saw that sign on the wall and they burned it off there. And everybody started drinking again in the press room. So they basically lit it on fire. on the
You'd be
wall.
arrested now for that.
Oh God!
The Twins would have you prosecuted in Hennepin County.
Yeah, and then plus there were enough Twins people who wanted to drink more than an hour afterwards. So anyway, that crisis went in a hurry, but they were bad for a few days. So anyhow,
all right,
got to be better Thursday night. It can't be this bad. But if the Timberwolves go out in like 5 and they had a couple more games like this, the Wild would be the heroes of the town for actually putting up a fight, wouldn't they? Instead of playing
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know. All right, we'll talk to you Friday.
We're writing more stories on our paper's writing more stories on the Wild now than we were when they were playing. We got 3 stories a day in the paper on the Wild.
End of season wrap up.
Well,
got to get done before you leave town.
I think we're all saying today though, go Frost. Come on, Frost.
Yep. Well,
Frost.
we have again gone to the cliff of elimination and somehow pulled ourselves back.
Now we're favorites to win the title.
I know, but they had I think 3 must wins, including at Ottawa and Boston. They kicked Boston's ass on Sunday,
and they had to be. It couldn't be overtime. They had to be. But because you ever look at the standings for this league, they got like 9 categories for their for points being awarded. It's unbelievable.
We can turn it off and on. That's what I've decided.
Yes, we are. So basically, the anchors of this team should be ashamed of themselves for not giving us a full effort until the playoffs start. Right?
We should all rip them for it.
Yes.
All right. I'll talk to you on Friday. See you, Reusse.